Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horse Center. With us, of course, is the lovely, wonderful, amazing Swiss Army Sean, per usual. And our special guest tonight is one of the most knowledgeable, versatile, capable, and humble horsemen in the industry. She's done the business from almost every angle. She was an incredibly successful and talented jockey, an incredibly successful and talented trainer, and is currently working as a very successful and talented agent. Welcome to the show, Paula Bacon and Mark Hoffman.
Yeah. Welcome, Mark Hoffman.
Okay, Paula. So this actually, I just want everyone to know, this is Blonde Bombshell Week at Horse Racing today. I don't know if anyone noticed the trend. On Monday, we had a guest with no hair, Angel Suarez.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had a bald one.
Well, his fiance certainly qualifies as a blonde bombshell. We had Chantel Sutherland yesterday. Everyone knows, lovely blonde bombshell. And now the beautiful and talented Paula Bacon. So staying on trend. We got a comment right off the bat from Willie Martinez. Mark, stop it. Okay. And Paula, I just want to go ahead and address the elephant in the room, the question that's on everyone's mind. Is it true that not working for jockey Willie Martinez has been the biggest regret of your life?
Yeah, except for I asked him. And he turned me down. So
yes, for anyone who does not know, Paula, Willie, and Bacon and I, we go back forever. We've been best friends forever. They have almost worked together a dozen times, but for various different reasons, it never panned out. So, but here we are. Somehow you've both managed to survive without it. So kudos.
Amazing.
And Paula, you started off in this business from the ground up. You started off hot walking, grooming. You eventually became an assistant trainer and you started galloping for Larry Edwards. And he had some really great quotes about you that I would love to touch on briefly here. He said that Paula was absolutely, he said that you were absolutely lost on your first horse, but that no one learned faster than Paula Bacon. So tell us a little bit about your early experience in this business and going from zero to hero.
Well, my first, I wanted to be a jockey. So obviously you have to learn to gallop horses first. And I was just a hot walker for a guy at Oaklawn named Jody Sinclair. And I'd walk tots for years, during the summers graduating high school. And I grew up on the racetrack, but I really didn't get to ride a lot of horses because, my mom was a groom at the track and we didn't live in we lived in the trailer court. So it wasn't like I didn't have horses around me to ride. So I really was very green. And when I got the job for Larry, my mom, I had gotten on a few horses in like the backwoods of Alabama. So my mom kind of thought I had a base, but it really wasn't like that. And so when Larry threw me on, he happened to throw me on a filly though that just got there, and she happened to be a complete runoff. So to my credit, she ended up being a runoff, before then and after me. And she ran off 3 miles and my mom picked me up on her pony the third mile. Yeah, it was a disaster. And Larry was screaming at me. And then we had a couple days like that, but getting yelled at in front of everyone at Oaklawn, Garrett Gomez is the one I remember the most because he's like, you're never going to make it. And, we were the same age and he was a famous jockey. That was like heartbreaking. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? I'm going to be awesome, So I had to learn. I mean, I just, and Larry was a great teacher, but I did really learn fast, but I had a great teacher. I mean, he was a great teacher. He just started taking me on the pony next to him.
Well, I can testify. You and I went on a vacation together a couple years ago, and we all started doing backflips into the pool for fun. A little alcohol may or may not have been involved. I'll plead the fifth there. But you and I started doing one together, and I kind of halfway had it, and you literally just like belly flopped on your back. Terrible. I'm like, oh, are you okay? And within 2 minutes, you're doing perfectly executed big backflips, and I'm still at the same place I was in the beginning. So definitely a quick learner. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Paula, you rode your first race at 22. You did exceptionally well here at Tampa Bay Downs and also various other tracks. What made you want to be a jockey?
I was a small person. I'd grown up, my stepfather was a jockey, and I'd grown up on the racetrack, obviously. And I thought the best, I was very athletic. I ran track, I ran hurdles. I was always, very competitive. It was just kind of the natural step for me. If I was going to do something on the racetrack, I wanted to do something that was financially, worth doing. And being a jockey was perfect for me because I was small and I'm very competitive. And so that's the direction I just knew I was going to take.
Sure. And what was your most memorable moment as a jockey? Something that just really warms your heart when you think about it.
I won on a homebred for Brett Rice, for Don Rice trainer, named Guardian of the North at Tampa. And it was just, I don't know, for some reason, that's just been my go-to favorite moment of all times. I knew I was going to win the race, and I was a really, really long shot. And I really knew I was going to win the race. And so when it came to fruition, it just, Brett was crying. He's a big 6'2" man, to see him crying, walking towards me. It was just awesome.
Very cool. Now, interesting, you named Don Rice. Now, I know you rode for him a lot, and something I read that we might want to discuss briefly here on Horse Racing Today. We're always trying to look for an angle, for a tip, for something we can be on the lookout for. And we have mentioned what people can look for during the post parade, during the warm up, that can kind of, help them with their last minute picks. And you said that he really liked front running horses, and that was not your native style. You kind of had to adjust to that. And one of the things that you would do is you would warm up the horse very aggressively. Like you would really kind of go for it. So do you think that's true in general, that if someone is really, out there trying to warm up as much as possible, it's to get the horse on the muscle? Or?
That is a great question. That is something that most people overlook. And I'm glad you asked me, because the warm up is extremely important to the horse's performance, whether you don't warm up or whether you excessively warm up or whether you go in the middle. And that actually came from Pat Day, because I was ponying him on a filly that I galloped for Larry Edwards in the post parade at Oaklawn. And I asked him, why are we walking? Why won't you let me? She was nervous, really nervous, and just like a ball of nerves. And he said, well, she's a real speedy type and I want her to relax. So I'm just going to walk her and we're going to go away from her and try to keep her quiet. He said, you're going to be a jockey, right? And I said, yes, I am. And he said, well, if you're ever a jockey and you get on a horse like this and you want them to be quiet, don't warm them up. And if you want a horse to show speed and be aggressive leaving the gate, get away from that pony and warm them up, because they're going to come out of there running. And I just, it was Pat Day. Obviously, I took it to heat, and that's how I warmed up without the pony like more than probably any other jockey that I was riding with. I loved going without the pony. I love to give aggressive warm up. That was how I got Don Rice's horses in the race without begging them to be in the race. And that's how he wanted them to run.
Do you need permission for? I heard the one day they come out, they actually need permission to do that now, to get away from the pony, or no?
No, you just ask your pony person to cut you loose.
Okay.
So you mentioned a few mentors already, Larry Edwards, Don Rice, Pat Day. Who do you think really kind of helped you, especially like in the beginning of your career when you were very green? Who kind of showed you the ropes and gave you your most knowledge?
The most person that taught me the most and that pushed me forward the most and gave me the most knowledge early in my career was, bar none, Richard DePass. Bar none. He was my agent. He took my book, but he coached me every day. I mean, he went so far as to come down to the rail, walk back to the jocks room with me, tell me what I did right, tell me what I did wrong. He couldn't hurt my feelings because I had thick skin. He would, be pretty, aggressive with me, but it paid off right away, because when he told me something like that, I could go and apply it. And he was by far the biggest push for me.
That sounds very Maddie Rowland of you, to just take in people's advice and not have an emotional reaction. So great quality to have. And I know that
I might have an emotional reaction, but they wouldn't see it. It would be buried deep there.
Well, kudos to you for doing that because I can't hide my emotional reactions. So, unfortunately, after some very successful years with hundreds of wins and some big races, you had a career-ending injury as far as riding races goes. But you did
Yes.
not let that hold you back for long because you became a successful trainer shortly after. So, tell us a little bit about that journey into transitioning from jockey to trainer and what that was like for you.
I never actually thought I was going to be a trainer, and it really never occurred to me that it was never something that I thought I would do at all. And Don Rice told me, you know, I was battling back from the injury, the original injury, and I was riding, and I was riding well, and I was doing good, but I was telling him I'm not going to last. This is going to be, and so I told him I was going to be a jockey agent, and he said, "Oh, you shouldn't be a jockey agent. You should be a trainer. You are going to be a great trainer." And I was like, training horses? Like, no, I've never even thought of that. And he was like, you would be fantastic and you really should do it. And if you ever decide to do it, I'll give you some horses to train. And I was like, oh, so then that got the thought in my head and I was like, oh, but I'm not going to do that. So I ended up taking Bobby Walker to Mountaineer and had a successful year with him. And then was a jockey agent the next year and had another successful year. But I've really had the bug in my ear and I really wanted to train horses. So I got an owner from Ohio named David Walters that decided to build a farm there in West Virginia. And he gave me a handful of horses to train on salary. And then it kind of pieced off from there. We split ways. And then Richard Englander sent me 5 horses, who's an Eclipse Award winning owner who I knew from when I was a jockey. And Lisa Shardula's dad gave me my first winner, my best friend for half my life. Her dad gave me a horse to train, was a winner. And then it just kind of spiraled. People just knew me and just started sending me horses. And it was a great time in my life. I loved every minute of it. I loved it. But being a jockey was probably my favorite thing that I've ever done. Traveling, going different tracks, riding races. It was fantastic.
Oh, you were a fabulous trainer. And I remember a friend of both of ours, Jamie Hernandez, she went and she was talking to you. She had shipped somewhere to train a horse and she was just getting started in the business. And you took time out of your day to sit there and chat with her and kind of mentor her a little bit. And she came back home to me and she was like so excited. She's like, oh, Paula told me this and that and da-da-da. Like you were our idol, big time. So thank you so much. Thank you for always taking the time out of your very busy schedule to help those around you. It's appreciated by everyone you've mentored, which is, the list is a mile long. Now,
don't make me cry on TV, on YouTube.
I'll try. It's easy though, so I'll try. But so, what was your biggest accomplishment as a trainer?
Oh, that's another Rice family story. A Fleet Angel by far was the biggest accomplishment, the best thing I did. At 9 years old, I trained her for 5 years. She came out of a field when she was 4 to my barn, fat as a tick, been off a year. And, I'd had her all those years and couldn't win a stake race, second and third. And then I ran her in the HPPA stakes at Prescal and got it done.
Yes.
That was by far my best moment as a trainer. But my second best moment, which probably is equal, is I ran her in a stake race at Turfway a couple months later, and Willie Martinez got the rider, and that was my second best. But it's kind of a tie. But she was my best, and that was Brett Rice's horse also. So not only did I ride for him, but I trained for him.
Very cool. The only
and she was out of the same mare as Guardian of the Gate. So my favorite horse I rode and my favorite horse I trained were out of the same mare.
True family affair.
Yeah.
If you got to represent Willie as a jockey, that would probably be your favorite moment now, right? Number 2 would be number 1.
Yes.
It's only unfortunate. It's only unfortunate that your greatest moments in training led to one of your biggest regrets, which is tattooed on your back. But it's slowly.
It's coming off slowly but surely. One painful laser at a time. A Fleet Angel is disappearing.
Yes.
Thanks, Maria Bowersock.
Yeah, Paula, once again, may or may not have been drinking. We won't discuss that, but she decided
There
she
was
wanted
definitely a lot of drinking that day. Yeah.
decided that she wanted a tattoo of that wonderful horse, a fleet angel, and it's just a lot. It's just a
It doesn't
lot.
work.
It doesn't work, but
It doesn't work.
great horse, not a great tattoo. And we've got another comment here from the Peanut Gallery. Willie Martinez says, "You got me off the couch for that race after 2 months off. LOL." Well, that's a good race to come back to, no doubt.
Yeah, he lied to me. He lied to me. My owner said, I said, I want to ride Willie on this horse. And they looked him up. He hadn't been doing anything in 2 months. And so I called him and I'm like, they're not comfortable riding you. They want me to pick somebody at Turfway, but I don't want to do that. I want to ride you. So have you gotten on any horses? Are you doing anything in the mornings? Because, I know he'd be fine if he's just done a little bit, but he hadn't done anything. He lied. He said, "Oh yeah, I've been galloping for weeks here and working horses in the morning." And no, he was completely out of breath, couldn't breathe when he came to the winner's circle.
he almost left the winner's circle on a stretcher.
Yeah, and he also told me right in the winner's circle, "Yeah, I lied. I haven't been on a horse in 2 months." I was like,
"Oh no."
Easier to tell the truth once you're in the winner's circle, right?
Yeah, it was all worth its weight in gold, because if I didn't have that picture and that moment, that would have been horrible. So I'm glad he lied.
Just don't get that picture tattooed anywhere. That's our main thing that we've learned. Okay, so after successfully training for years, you switched it up again, and you are currently working for two incredibly talented riders, Antonio Gallardo and Pablo Morales, both awesome riders, awesome people. What do you think makes you such a good agent? I mean, you've been the leading agent at Presque Isle for years. You're also always right at the top of the standings in Tampa, one of the hardest jocks colonies in the country to work in, I think. What do you think makes you special as far as being an agent?
I wouldn't say special, but I would say that the relationships that you make with your friends on the racetrack, propel you forward. Like Tim Gurton, when I had Ronnie Allen and Ricky Feliciano for all those years, they were like third and fourth or third and fifth in the standings, right there. Ronnie was sometimes second, but we never could, make the lead, but we were always right there. But, Tim stuck with me, and he's been a good friend since I started training. Well, before I started training, but I mean, he's been a big supporter of me since I started training horses. And just that kind of friendship that will ride your jockeys and trust you that you're going to have people that are, good at their job is just, it's been the biggest thing. I mean, I have so many friends at Presque Isle, and they use me whether they like my jockeys sometimes or not. And, my jockeys bring business with them too. Obviously they're two popular guys with two, big followings. So, but really the relationships that you make with the trainers over the course, I've been doing this 11, 12 years now, 13 years. That's what propels you forward. I mean, because you can't do anything without good relationships, solid relationships, and you have to be honest and fair with them for them to be honest and fair with you, which is what I try to do. Can't always be perfect, but I try.
So kind of in the same vein, what do you think is the number one quality it takes to be a good jockey agent?
I think that you have to be able to juggle a lot of personalities. There's ego, and there's honest people. There's people that aren't so honest. There's good trainers. There's bad trainers. They all win. There's all kinds of different personalities that come at you when you're a jockey agent. There's people that are easygoing. There's people that get mad. There's people that if you give a call to, you can't get out of it no matter what. You have to stay. It's figuring out all those personalities and trying to juggle them and work off of each other. It's not easy all the time. Trust me, I have sleepless nights over it. But that's the biggest thing, is trying to figure out the personalities that you're dealing with and deal with each one individually as so.
So we're getting into the jockey trainer. So looking up your numbers, you won 514 wins as a jockey with 12%. You won 12% of the time. Trainer, why did you ever get out of the training? You won 152 times and you were 18% as a trainer. So what made you go from a trainer to a jockey agent?
I went from a trainer to a jockey agent because even though I was doing good, people couldn't believe it when I quit. They were like, go out, it was just so hard chasing owners sometimes for money, financial reasons. I didn't have the greatest stable when I quit. I had a terrible stable, actually. If I would have quit a year earlier, I probably would have been at 25% for my career. I just didn't have the backing. 2008, the crash. Richard Englander was my biggest client. The stock market crashed. He kind of whittled his stable down to almost nothing. Ben Mondello, he did the same thing. He kind of got out for a while, and I just didn't have a good backing. I didn't feel comfortable with it, and I just didn't want to struggle. I didn't want to get behind paying debts, which I never had. So I didn't want that to happen, and I just thought I really thought that I would go and be a jockey agent for a few years and get back on my feet and come back to it, but I never did, and I don't want to.
So that was my next question. If you got a young kid at home and they want to get in the horse racing business, now you've done the jockey, the trainer, jockey agent. Which one would you tell them to pursue?
Jockey agent, for sure. If you can get the right jockey, you keep all your money. You don't pay it back out on bills for horses, and it's a good solid living. But it's stressful. It's a stressful job, but you're also not risking your life,
Right.
which is great.
That's what I was going to say. You're safe and sound.
And real quick here, we've got a comment from Ross Blacker. Paula's rider is going to be 1 and 2 this winter in Tampa. Mark it down. Hopefully one or both of them find a Derby horse. Both of those guys are good enough. They're awesome. That's true.
They are good enough. That's for sure.
And we got another question here from Terry Hay. Why is it that an agent can only represent 2 jockeys at one track anyway?
I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. I don't know why that is. I don't know. That's just the way it's always been since I've been on the track. So I have no idea why it is.
Maybe
but
so
I
other
would
people
want to try more.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say maybe so other people can eat, because probably like 15 people would be knocking down your door at Presque Isle. Everyone.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't want to have too much on your plate, because you do need to be fair to the guys you're working for. And it also sometimes even just having 2, if you had 3, it wouldn't be fair, really. 2, you can keep it pretty fair, but you have to work hard to be fair with 2. So I don't know. You're stretching yourself pretty thin if you acquired more than 2.
That's actually interesting though, because like trainers in New York, we can have 5, 6 horses and 5 of them be by the same trainer, which makes no sense to me. But you can only have 2 jockeys, and you have to have a husband and wife be an entry too. So it's just weird with that. So since you've been around the game so long, there's a lot of social chatter all the time with me, with people saying about the aftercare of horses and stuff. Can you tell us how much that has improved over the years?
It's improved a lot, but finding horses homes aside from the aftercare programs is really, it's touch and go. You can find them a good home, but that doesn't mean those people are going to keep them forever. And that's the problem. You just never know where they're going to go after that. But the aftercare programs have improved tremendously. We didn't have aftercare programs when I was a jockey. There was no such thing. So it's improved vastly. I mean, you can donate them to, several different organizations that we pay money into, or not we, but the owners pay money into with each start. And it's improved vastly, but it has a ways to go still.
Right. And another thing we talk about a lot is what tracks can do to get more fans and stuff like that. Do you have any ideas with that, or any frustrations like I do that tracks just don't seem to care?
Total frustrations. If it were up to me, I would tell everybody to go to Canterbury and spend 2 weeks and copy off of them, because they draw more people into their racetrack with just different things. They have so many different things that they do daily, like picnics on the on the ground, the grassy area there, little pony rides. It's dollar hot dogs, whether it's some kind of event every day. And I mean, they pack the people in. So yeah. I would copy off of their mold.
The only thing I don't recommend is they had fireworks night, and I just didn't think that was a good idea with horses. That's not a
good idea. Canterbury's management, the owners of the racetrack are horse owners also. They are very horseman friendly, love the horses. So they come at it from a different angle. They're in the game. So they make it great for everybody that's in the game because they're in the game.
Right. And I want to circle back to that other point you made about having two jockeys. How do you figure out if both jockeys could ride the same horse? How do you figure out which jockey you want to put on what horse?
You have to pin the trainers down and press them. I mean, some trainers will say, well, either one works. Well, which one do you really want? And you have to really pin them down to make a choice. That's the fairest way, and that's what I do. Which one do you really want? Or if I have a call, sometimes you'll just have a specific call with another jockey, with one of them, and you can't really, it's not really kind to go late and say, I don't, can we switch? So you're at the mercy of what you've already done for the day before somebody calls you late and wants you, and then you kind of just give it to the one that's open.
Now, when they go out of town, are you still responsible for them or somebody else represent them?
I am responsible for them. I was not responsible for Antonio when he was in Canada because he has an agent in Canada named Tom Patton who does a really good job for him and is a good guy. So he had him in Canada and I had him at Presque. But yeah, when they go out of town, otherwise, like if Pablo goes anywhere to ride, I'm responsible for him at all times.
And then for those that don't know, you set up all the travel arrangements and stuff like that as well?
We both do it. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes they do it. Just depends. I've done it a lot. Depends. Then, you try to build the owners for it and hope they pay. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't.
I always wondered how that worked.
I see you driving your guys around a lot too with some very entertaining road pics and stories. Fun stuff.
Yes. Road trips are fun. They can be. If you win, it's really fun. It's really fun. Pablo and I have had some incredible road trips home, singing, dancing in the car. Yeah, but that's when we win.
Yeah.
when we don't win, we listen to music and we're kind of like,
I always found it crazy too. Sometimes you go hours and you're only riding one horse. So you spend hours or a whole day and literally you got one horse for that 3-minute ride and that's your day.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so worth it if you win though, honestly. It is so worth it. You're just on a high when you come home off the win, you are just on a high and the trip comes home easy, fast. It's just that, it's actually Pablo, it's not his favorite thing to travel, to ride. So sometimes I got to really push him to do it, but he always is happy afterwards usually.
And you said drives are entertaining. So are walks. I was really looking forward to you being next to Jamie during this interview.
For anyone who doesn't know,
we had
Paula
a good
lives
walk this morning
2
together.
minutes from me. We did. We had a great walk. We talked about the show, actually. We've got a few more comments here from Ross Blacker. You should be writing everything for the Bennett barn. And any new barns coming to Tampa this winter that you know? Got any inside info for us?
The only one that I know is Steve Claceris, right off the top of my head, just because he called me. I haven't seen a barn list yet. I don't even know if it's out, actually. I'm sure it is. But I don't know anybody else. There's going to be new people, though, for sure.
Scooter Davis.
Scooter Davis. Yes, Scooter Davis did get stalls. That's right. Leland Hayes got stalls.
Oh, okay. There we go. Well, it's like the band's getting back together again. I love it.
Yes.
So, Paula, you are an incredibly positive person. You just wake up every day with sunshine and rainbows. You've had multiple detours and left turns, right turns in your life. Not everything has been all roses for you. And somehow you just always project this positivity. You are such an amazing mentor. I mean, Harry Hernandez, you were his agent for a little while, but then you also found him his new agent, and he credits you. Every interview I've seen with him, he credits you and how much you've helped his career and how much you just put him on the right path. Maddie Rowland credits you as a wonderful mentor. As I said, Jamie Hernandez, even with just that one day of conversation, she just felt like you really helped her so much. I mean, how do you maintain that positive spirit and that just like want to help other people in the face of adversity and in a business that can be heartbreaking so often?
I just really do wake up in the morning and think I just want to be kind. It sounds cheesy and it's silly, but that really is how I really genuinely feel. And I have a terrible temper. And I can just go off the rails. However, I really do genuinely want to be kind and want to spread kindness. So I just kind of wake up in the morning, and especially in Florida and your sunshine and palm trees, how could you not be just happy?
Yeah. Well, the
That's
world
just-
is
that's-
definitely a better place for you being here. So we love
Thank you.
that.
Well, another progression I want to talk about since you've been in the game so long is females in the business and how you personally have been treated from when you started to where you are now.
When I started, I never really felt like I was being disparaged as a female. However, when you're a jockey and you first start, especially in the 90s when I came around, it was a lot harder for females. But I can never really say that when people ask me that question, because for many years I rode for the leading trainer at Tampa, where I was Don Rice first call. So how much harder was it for me? I was riding for the leading trainer. So it was harder because people did use the excuse, oh, my owner doesn't want to ride girls, but I didn't find it to be a lot harder. A little harder, but not a lot harder. It was a lot harder for the women that came before me. A lot harder.
You find it any different now being a jockey?
Donna Barton, people like that, they paved the way for me because it was a lot harder for them.
You find it any different being a jockey agent versus the males?
I don't. I think I get a fair shake.
Awesome. It's always good to hear when it's that way.
Yeah. You've been to so many tracks throughout your career. Which track do you think is the most fun?
Canterbury.
Okay.
Canterbury Park. That is the most fun track ever. But if you ask me what my favorite track is, it's Tampa.
Yeah.
I'll also say with Canterbury.
That was my favorite track to ride at.
I'll also say with Canterbury, I'm not saying who's the best announcer or whatever, but the enthusiasm and the names off. Oh, Paul Allen. He does the Vikings game too. His enthusiasm in the booth is awesome too.
He's the greatest. Those are the tracks that I rode at. Now, if you ask what the funnest track to go to is, I'm sure is Keeneland and Saratoga. That's where I have the most fun as a spectator. But being a jockey and doing my job would be like a Canterbury Park.
Very cool.
One thing I saw with
ahead,
going to Saratoga. Sorry. One thing I saw with going to Saratoga though, it's more like a hangout than it is actually for the horse. I think it's one of those like the tailgating and everything else. Like as many people were doing that as they were actually watching the races.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's all part of the, that's all part of that's all part of it. That's the best part of it.
We've got a question here from Barry Knight. Hi, Paula. Are jockeys, agents, and trainers allowed to wager on horses they ride or don't ride?
Jockey agents and trainers are allowed to wager on any horse that's in any race, but jockeys are not allowed to wager on horses. Period, I think. I don't think jockeys are allowed to wager
at all. You're right on that.
At all.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, but I don't know why jockeys can't wager on other tracks they're not riding in. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
because it's the same. It's the same thing with. So in New York, we have you have 6 horses and 5 of them by the same trainer. Why is that trainer able to wager? Obviously, he has inside information that he knows which one of those 5 should win the race, right?
True.
So I have an issue with that part of it. It never made sense to me, and it doesn't make sense why jockeys. I mean, most jockeys, I don't think really want to bet anyway. They don't seem to ever came in up to the gamble.
Jockeys are not bettors, really, in general.
Yeah.
You'll have one here and there that will, say, "Oh, I would like to bet on this horse," but it's not a thing, really.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for us as far as betting at Presque Isle Downs goes? I hear a lot of people really struggle to pick the right horses at Presque Isle for whatever reason, maybe the different surface from most places or whatnot. Can you give us any inside info on what we should be looking for?
Yeah, I would say that horses with a race over the track helps. Sometimes the horses seem to need a race over the course. And I would just say that betting the popular trainers, Tim Ham, Tim Gert, and Eddie Rojas, Leland Hayes, my friends, all my friends. Teresa Conley.
I thought you would just say bet Pablo Morales and Antonio Gerardo. That sounds like a winning formula
I was
too.
gonna say that, but I was gonna say that, but I thought it sounded pretty cocky, so I didn't say it.
I
mean, that's a safe bet. Let's be honest.
But that was kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, we got another comment here from Terry Hay. Another great guest, a strong woman in the racing industry, knowledgeable and very informative. Facts. Nobody knows more about horse racing than Paula Bacon.
Thank you. Oh, lots of people do. Trust me. Lots
of
people
do.
Do.
You've got experience on, so many different fields. There might be someone who's more an expert in one area, but you're like, yeah, but I did the before, the after, the everything in between.
Yeah, being that I've done jockey agent and trainer, that has helped me a lot to be an agent. I wish that all people did all the jobs so that when trainers get mad at you as a jock's agent, they have done the job and they would understand a little better that it's not just black and white. And sometimes you have to do it this way and not this way. So that would be great. But since I have done all those jobs, it does help me. My jockeys had a great day today too.
Yes. Yeah, they always do. Oh, that reminds me. I promise. I forgot yesterday. I told my husband I would give him a shout out because he won on the horse Extra Sexy Big Daddy, obviously named for him. And he's had a great week at Presque Isle. He's won one or two every day. So shout out. Nice job, babe.
He has had a great week. Had a great week.
But I just love getting the win picture for Extra Sexy Big Daddy. I mean, clearly they named that horse with him in mind. So
Pablo's on track right now to have his biggest year ever.
Wow. That's amazing because he's been killing it for quite some time.
Yeah, awesome. Money-wise, he's on track. If he has, a little bit in December, which of course he should, he's going to make the most money he's ever made.
Well, congrats, Pablo. We'll have to have you back on the show to discuss your banner year. Right, Sean? Let's hook that up.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, you got anything else, Sean?
Well, you said about the horse with Willie. We also have that horse now, Chili Willie. Did you ever find out if that's actually named after him?
No, I don't think it is. But it is odd. We found a horse yesterday, Paula, that just ran for the first time, and it's named Chili Willie. So
it's got to be named after him.
I mean, it's in Golden Gate for like a trainer we've never heard of. So I don't know, but.
Oh, maybe. I have to give a shout out to Erin Morales and her two babies. Pablo's kids and Pablo's wife. Love you guys.
Yes, we do. Oh my God. Those kids. I need a class. Erin, teach me. Okay. I have 4 children and they're all like wild, ravenous cannibals. And I don't know how your children are so well behaved all the time. Please. Can I just send them to you for a few years? No big deal. Okay. So we've got another comment here from Willie Martinez. Paula stays busy all year round and now she gets to go on vacation and has a wedding to attempt to tell us about that. Yes, we are all headed on vacation together in a week. All those people you mentioned that are good friends of yours, Leland, Shanna Lucarelli, she's amazing. Willie and I, of course. But yeah, we're headed on vacation.
My girl. That's my girl.
Yes. Oh my goodness. The comments are just rolling in. Okay. Ross Blacker, is Pablo's brother relative a valet in New York? I see him there sometimes. You know that? Is Pablo's brother?
He has 2 brothers there, and I believe they're both valets. Renzo and Pedro.
Good to know.
And at least one of them exercises horses in the morning, if not both of them.
Very cool.
So he's right on there.
Hardworking family, that's for sure.
So my last question, Paula, would be, if you're not a jockey agent or if you want to do something else besides a jockey agent in the horse racing business, what else would you do?
What's left?
I don't know.
Steward, I guess.
That's a question. That's a question that's really difficult to answer. I've racked my brain trying to think of that because, all of us in the racing industry are starting to look for other things to do maybe afterwards because we're kind of worried about it. And I just don't know what it would be or will be. I don't know.
Do you really think, though? I mean, everybody said.
I don't know.
Everybody thought with HISA coming in that it'd be the end of the world and everything else. And I mean, for the most part, everything's going the same. And, when we did the news, we would see handles all the time. They're higher than ever. Do you really think that horse racing would be in trouble?
Uh-oh.
I do. I just don't think it's going to be in trouble at the major tracks, but the tracks that, can you hear me?
Yeah,
we hear you. You were just delayed.
Yeah. Okay. I do think horse racing is in trouble, but not the major tracks, not New York, California, maybe. Well, they're kind of edgy, but South Florida, Churchill Downs, I don't think those tracks are in trouble. Oaklawn Park. I think the tracks that I go to are in trouble. Presque Isle Downs, casino run tracks are in trouble. I don't think the bigger major tracks are in trouble. I don't know that I'd want to move to a major track. I think I'm set in my ways. I'm getting older. I would probably just try to find something else to do if I had to just, move to a whole different. I don't know if I would do that or not. So my tracks, I think, are in a little bit of trouble, but the major racetracks are not going anywhere anytime soon, in my opinion.
Well, we've got some assurance here from Grandma Horse Racing that the horse industry is not in trouble with the way that they throw money at it. So that's good. And then we have another comment here, which unfortunately is true. A lot of small tracks have already closed. Yeah, unfortunately. That is the case. We've seen so many tracks close down in the last few years. It breaks my heart because one of them is the track that I grew up at, Beulah Park. And then, of course, Arlington. I mean, it's just sad. We got a comment here from Willie Martinez. Pablo and Antonio have been riding exceptionally awesome. Paula works really hard for both and does a great job. They are both great riders to ride with. Aw, that was nice.
Yes. Thank you. They're both very good. I've been blessed to work for really good riders. I have not worked for riders that are a problem, and that's been a real blessing. When Ronnie Allen came along, that was like a lifesaver, and he was amazing to work for. Ricky Feliciano, who everybody said was difficult, he was very easy for me. Then Pablo came along, and that was life-changing as well, and he's been an angel to work for. Now Antonio comes along, and he's been fabulous. He's a hard worker. He's riding 2 tracks, so I've been blessed with people that don't have bad habits. They just want to do their work. I feel very, very blessed.
Well,
Harry
you have
Hernandez
worked
was really good too.
He's great. You have worked for some great jockeys, but not the best, not yet. Willie's still waiting for that. So.
Well, there's another question. Do you watch all the races that you have jockeys in?
Yes. If I don't watch them live, I watch them after. Like if I miss a race here and there, I'll go back and watch it. But mostly I watch them live. I don't go to the races I used to go to the races all the time. I actually don't go. I rarely go now. I watch them on the iPad, usually live.
So with you being a former jockey, do you ever talk specifically tactics with your riders? Like, oh, you could have done this here or maybe that there, or do you just kind of not really handle that part of it with them?
You'll always second guess a rider's decision, and you'll talk to them and speak to them about it. Sometimes they convince you that they did the right thing, which happens a lot because they're in real time and you're a sideline watcher. So even though I was a jockey, I can get it wrong a lot. And when they tell me, oh no, I did this because of this, that gives me the benefit to go and explain that to the trainer. So the trainer might have saw it the way that I saw it. Now we all see it the same way that the jockey saw it. So I do that. I certainly am not going to tell Pablo and Antonio how to ride. They've won thousands more races than I have when I was a jockey, and I'm not going to coach them. No. But we do discuss tactics. Yes, we will bounce off of each other. But as far as like really telling them no. They're more knowledgeable about it than I am.
When you watch the races, are you ever curious on why they made a certain move or not? And do you ask them like after the fact?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And that's when it comes into play. They'll either say, I made a mistake, that was wrong. or this is why I did this, and go tell the trainer this is why. So that comes into play a lot.
Now, just one
Is
more
that
question.
Kinsley or Mateo?
No, it's not mine.
It's
I'm
Blake.
innocent.
It's my 4-year-old.
Mine are actually in their cage in the backyard. Just kidding, everyone. That's not true. So, Paula, quick question. Do you have anything on your bucket list before you do want to retire? You've already accomplished so much. You've done so many things, affected so many people. Do you have anything that's kind of in the back of your mind? I really want to do this before I leave the business.
I really would like to have a leading rider at Tampa once, at least once. I've been working here for a really long time, and I've gotten really, really close, and it always evades me because Mike Moran gets me.
Well, this
He got
is your
me with
year.
Antonio. He got me with Antonio when I had Ronnie, and he got me with Sammy last year.
This is your year.
So.
I feel the vibes. They've already predicted it in the comments here. Let's send that
I like
energy
that guy
your way.
that predicted that. I
Yeah.
hope he knows the future.
Right. For sure. All right, Sean, you got anything else before we sign off here?
No, all I'll say is next week, Monday, because of Blake and because of Halloween, we will be off. But then Tuesday, I just announced we will have Keeneland's track announcer Kurt Becker getting ready for the Breeders' Cup. And then Wednesday, I have not announced this on social yet, but I'll announce it here, and then I'll announce it on social tomorrow. Kylie Jordan will return, and we'll get to hear more about Tyler's Tribe. I think Tyler's Tribe's your big underdog story in the Breeders' Cup this year.
How exciting.
And would be like a Rich Strike story. Besides, I don't think you would have any of the aftermath afterwards like you did with Rich Strike. So I think it would be the greatest thing if that happens.
That's another up-and-coming female in racing who just has her head on right. No drama, is just learning every day, having such an incredible year. I mean, does she still have the bug or has she lost her bug?
She has lost her bug. And
Okay.
She's still winning. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, she's killing it. I mean, could easily be on the Eclipse Award nominee list, no doubt. So
it seems like there's a lot of girls this year that came out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what the resurgence was, but yeah, they're definitely.
There was a tremendous amount of females that were doing good in the business this year.
Yes.
I remember watching that girl win a stake race in Iowa, and she was like the leading rider there.
Yeah. That's who it. Yeah.
And
unbelievable.
And we had Rich and I had Kylie Jordan and Maddie Rowland probably within a month or two of each other, and both interviews we left on. Wow, like their attitude, their skills we already saw, they were just winning, but their attitude in the business, and it didn't even have to do with them being female. Like they just were not taking any crap, and they were very successful, and they had their head on straight that's what they wanted to do. So,
yeah.
Oh,
very impressive.
I know Maddie personally. Maddie's not taking any crap. That's for sure.
Yeah, we got that. It was awesome.
She's a strong girl, and she's a smart girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was absolutely
and
awesome.
She's so well spoken. I mean, what is she? Is she 18 or is she 19? I don't know. She's a teenager, and her interviews
She was 18.
Okay. Her interviews are so well spoken. She's just sharp as a tack. She knows her stuff. I mean, this girl just blows my mind. I always tell people she's my favorite writer besides Willie. She's just fabulous. Love her.
I love her personally too.
Yeah.
Will she be at Tampa again?
I believe so. Yeah. Yay. See you soon,
I think
Maddie.
Eddie Joe doesn't Eddie Joe have her?
He definitely had her last year. I haven't even checked in with Eddie Joe if he's taking her again this year. I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm pretty sure he is. I think that's her agent.
Awesome.
Well,
they did so good together. Why change?
They did amazing. Yeah.
I did announce this on social a few weeks ago, but we'll have her back on November 22nd as well. So,
yay.
Yeah.
So many good interviews coming up. Well, everyone, that takes us wire to wire today on Horse Center. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all of the views here. I mean, this show is blowing up. You were right, Sean. He predicted that this would be another big show, and it is. Thank you, Paula, for coming on to our program and helping us get a little interaction. But please like, subscribe, follow if you haven't already. That just helps our numbers, helps us to do more interviews like this with great people in the industry, and helps keeping this whole thing going. We appreciate the love. It is Horse Race, the number 2 day on pretty much all the social media platforms. And we know that we will see Paula Bacon's riders tomorrow, I'm sure, in the
winner circle.
We'll see one.
Oh.